I refuse to be that weak man again, not because it sounds powerful, because I remember exactly who that man was. And if you're being honest with yourself, you remember him too. That version of you who kept explaining himself instead of fixing himself, who stayed silent when he should have taken a stand, who said one day and meant never. That was me. Let me ask you something, and don't rush your answer. When you look back at the last few years of your life, do you feel pride or relief that no one brings it up anymore? Because weakness doesn't announce itself. It arrives as comfort, as excuses that sound reasonable, as days that pass without incident while your standards quietly erode. I learned this later than I should have. So pay attention. Weak men don't collapse in a single moment. They fade, they tolerate things they despise. They remain in places where they aren't respected. They trade self-respect for the appearance of peace and end up with neither. And the worst part, you don't even see it happening. Not until one day you catch your own reflection, and something deep inside you says, "This isn't who I thought I'd be." That moment isn't motivation. That moment is mourning. You're not hurting because life got difficult. You're hurting because you know you abandoned yourself. I did the same thing. I was once a man full of potential and completely without spine. Strong opinions, hollow actions. Always watching other men build the life I told myself I didn't want. That was me. And here's the truth no one shares when you're young. Time doesn't make you stronger. Decisions do. If you keep avoiding them, time just makes you exhausted. You don't wake up weak suddenly. You wake up old, wondering exactly when you stopped trying. That's why I refuse to be that weak man again. Not because I became fearless, because I grew tired of deceiving myself. Before you dismiss this as another motivational speech, let me stop you. I'm thinking about a specific man right now. Someone I encountered years ago. Hard-working, quiet, respected on the surface. No one around him knew he used to be weak. No one knew how deeply he hated himself for it. What he did afterward changed everything. Not loudly, not publicly, but permanently. And if you've ever looked at yourself and thought, that was me, then you need to hear what he did and why it worked when everything else had failed. Because weakness nearly destroyed his life, and the way he found his way out was nothing like what you've been told. There was a man I knew of. Not famous yet, not admired, just another grown man quietly disappointed in the person he'd become. From the outside, everything looked fine. A job, a routine, no visible chaos. But inside he was avoiding mirrors. He wasn't weak because he lacked physical strength. He was weak because he kept choosing the easier path. Comfort over standards, excuses over accountability. Every night he swore tomorrow would be different. Every morning he broke that promise without a fight. That's the kind of weakness no one around you sees. The kind that ages you faster than years ever could. And then one day it landed on him like a verdict. No one was coming. No speech. No savior. No second opportunity waiting patiently in the background. Just him and the man he'd become through a lifetime of avoiding pain. That was the moment everything split apart. Not because he felt inspired, because he felt disgusted. Disgust, when it's genuine, is one of the most powerful forces a man can feel. Now hear this carefully, because this is the part that matters. He didn't chase confidence. He didn't go looking for motivation. He didn't perform strength he didn't yet have. He did something far simpler and far more difficult. He stopped negotiating with the weaker version of himself. Every time that voice said, "Not today," he responded, "That was me." And then he acted regardless. Years later, people would look at him and call him mentally tough. They'd claim he was wired differently, that suffering had made him exceptional. They were wrong. Pain didn't change him. Ownership did. You know his name, David Goggins. Before the runs, before the books, before the speeches, he was overweight, undisciplined, ashamed of the man he had allowed himself to become. He wasn't fighting the world. He was fighting the man in the mirror who kept surrendering. And here's why I'm telling you his story. Not to celebrate him, to warn you. Because the distance between who you are and who you respect is closed the exact same way for everyone. Not through intensity, not through fleeting motivation, but through refusing every single day to be that weak man again. That was him. And if hearing this is uncomfortable, good. It means you still remember who you were supposed to become. You think weakness is loud. It isn't. Weakness is quiet. It whispers later until later turns into never. I've lived long enough to tell you this without uncertainty. Most men don't destroy their lives. They delay them. They delay discipline. They delay honesty. They delay taking themselves seriously. And one day they wake up with memories where options used to be. That's when the real fear arrives, because here's what no one prepares you for. When time runs out, excuses lose their power. You can deceive other people for years. You can even deceive yourself for a while. But there comes a moment, usually late, usually in silence, when you realize you were never unlucky. You were simply unwilling. That realization lands harder than any failure ever could. I refuse to be that weak man again. That weak man always had a reason, a story, an explanation that sounded intelligent. But strong men don't explain their standards. They live them. Weak men need to be understood. Strong men need to be respected. And respect begins inside. Let me say something you won't hear from people around you. No one is coming to hold you accountable. Your friends will accept your excuses. Society will normalize your mediocrity. Comfort will receive you with open arms. But comfort is a thief. It steals ambition slowly. It softens your edge without warning. And it convinces you that surviving is the same thing as living. It isn't. Survival is what happens when you've abandoned meaning. Living requires friction. That weak man you remember. He avoided friction at every cost. Easy conversations, easy routines, easy versions of himself. And ease carries a price. You pay it in confidence. You pay it in self-trust. You pay it in that hollow feeling you can never quite explain. That feeling isn't confusion. It's clarity you've been refusing to face. You already know exactly where you've been weak. It's the thing you keep circling back to. The habit you keep justifying. The decision you keep postponing. Old men don't need journals to find their failures. They remember them effortlessly. And here's the truth I wish someone had told me earlier. You don't become strong by adding more. You become strong by removing tolerance. Removing tolerance for laziness. Removing tolerance for disrespect. Removing tolerance for the voice that says good enough. Because good enough is the language of regret. I refuse to be that weak man again. Not because weakness is evil, but because it is expensive. It costs you years. It costs you dignity. It costs you the right to trust yourself. And once you lose self-trust, everything gets harder. You hesitate more. You doubt more. You start looking outward for permission that was always yours to give. That's how men shrink. Not suddenly, gradually. Let me tell you what strength actually looks like, because most people misread it entirely. Strength is not intensity. It is not rage. It is not shouting promises into silence. Strength is doing the right thing after the emotion has left the room, when no one is watching, when motivation has disappeared, when old habits feel warm and familiar. That's where most men fold, because changing who you are feels like a small death. You lose the comfort of excuses. You lose the identity of being someone with potential. You lose the safety of remaining unfinished. And that frightens people more than failure does. That weak man loved potential. Potential let him feel significant without requiring anything from him. But potential rots if you don't move on it. I've watched men spend entire lifetimes being almost disciplined, almost confident, almost proud. Almost is a dangerous place to live. Because almost feels close enough until it's too late. I refuse to be that weak man again. So let me be direct with you. Without sentiment, without cruelty, just truth. You will not accidentally become strong. You will not drift into discipline. You will not wake up one day as the man you respect. That only happens when you draw a line and stop stepping back from it. Not a dramatic line, a quiet one. The kind no one applauds. The kind only you know exists. That's where real transformation begins. And don't misunderstand me. This path doesn't make life easier. It makes life simpler. Fewer excuses, fewer internal negotiations, fewer arguments with yourself. You stop asking, how do I feel? And start asking, what is required? That single question will place you ahead of 90% of men. Because feelings are temporary. Standards are permanent. Old men don't regret working too hard. They regret compromising too often. They regret staying silent. They regret staying comfortable. They regret making peace with weakness. And the heaviest regret of all is knowing you could have become someone else and choosing not to. So if you feel uneasy right now, that's honesty knocking. Don't drown it in noise. Sit with it, because that weak man you remember doesn't need to be destroyed. He just needs to stop being fed. Every day you starve him of excuses and give the man you respect something to stand on. That's it. That's the formula. No secret, no shortcut. Just refusal. I refuse to be that weak man again. Say it less, live it more. And one day, not soon, not suddenly, you'll notice something quietly powerful. You're no longer fighting to become who you were. You've simply grown past him. That's when life begins to feel honest again. There is a stage of life no one warns you about. It's not youth. It's not old age. It's the middle, where you still have time, but not enough to waste. That's where weakness becomes dangerous. When you're young, weakness looks harmless. People call it figuring things out. They give you room. But later, weakness carries consequences. Bills don't care about your mood. Your body doesn't care about your reasoning. And respect, once lost, does not return easily. I watched this happen in men older than me. Men who used to talk boldly. Men who promised themselves change. They didn't fail loudly. They faded without ceremony. And that's when it became clear to me. A weak man isn't lazy. He's indecisive. He keeps one foot in discipline and one foot in comfort, and then wonders why he never moves. That was me. I kept telling myself I was self-aware, that I understood my own problems. But awareness without action is just another method of staying weak. Old men don't confuse understanding with progress. Progress is measurable. Progress leaves marks. Progress costs something. Weakness always wants its money back. I refuse to be that weak man again. Let me say something that may sting. It should. If your life hasn't changed in years, it's not because you've been unlucky. It's because your standards are negotiable. You let your mood decide. You let fear have a vote. You let comfort sit at the table. Strong men don't debate with comfort. They disregard it. That isn't discipline, it's clarity. Clarity about what matters. Clarity about what must be done. Weak men live in complexity. Strong men simplify. They simplify their routines, their priorities, their excuses down to nothing. And here's the truth most people dodge. You don't rise when you feel ready. You rise when staying the same becomes unbearable. Pain is the teacher, but only if you don't run from it. Some men feel pain and numb it. Some feel it and escape it. A small number feel it and learn from it. Those are the men who change. That weak man inside you. He despises pain. He will rationalize. He will delay. He will make weakness sound like wisdom. He'll tell you, just rest today, avoid the conflict. Wait until things settle. That voice sounds like care. It isn't. It's the voice that keeps you ordinary. I refuse to be that weak man again. Here's something else you won't hear often. You don't need confidence before you act. You build confidence by acting. Waiting to feel strong before you move is how men stay frozen their entire lives. Strength follows action, not the other way around. That's why most people never change. They're waiting on a feeling that only appears after commitment. Old men understand this, because they've waited before and paid for it. Let me ask you something directly. If someone followed you around for a week, watched how you wake up, how you speak, how you handle discomfort, would they believe you respect yourself? Not your intentions, not your potential, your behavior, because behavior doesn't lie. That's the mirror most men avoid. Weakness hates mirrors. It prefers narratives. I could have been more. I would have done better. But circumstances, strong men don't rewrite their histories. They rewrite their habits. That's harder. But it works. I refuse to be that weak man again. So I stopped chasing dramatic moments. I stopped waiting to feel motivated. I focused on small, repeatable decisions. Do what you said you'd do, especially when you don't feel like it. Speak the truth, especially when it costs you approval. Leave environments that diminish you, even when they feel familiar. Nothing heroic, nothing flashy, just alignment. And alignment is powerful. Because once your actions match your values, the mind quiets. You stop arguing with yourself. You stop feeling like a fraud. That's when strength becomes natural, not loud, not aggressive, just stable. Most people assume strong men are intense. They're not. They're calm because they've stopped negotiating with themselves. Weak men are exhausted because every day is a debate. Old men don't want debates. They want peace. And peace comes from self-respect, not from comfort, not from avoidance, but from knowing you didn't betray yourself today. That's why I return to this line. Not as inspiration, but as a boundary. I refuse to be that weak man again, because I know where that road leads. It leads to regret dressed up as wisdom. It leads to advice no one listens to. It leads to watching life pass instead of living inside it. And I didn't survive this long to sit quietly in disappointment. Neither did you. If you still feel something moving inside you right now, anger, sadness, discomfort, that's good. It means the weak man hasn't won yet. But don't romanticize this moment. Awareness fades if you don't act on it. So don't make grand promises to yourself. Promise yourself consistency. One decision you stop revisiting. One standard you stop bending. That's how the weak man starves. Not through punishment, but through neglect. And one day, without ceremony, without applause, you'll understand something important. You're not fighting weakness anymore. You've simply stopped treating it as acceptable. That's when the sentence stops being something you say and becomes something you are. I refuse to be that weak man again. Let me ask you something, and don't answer aloud. Answer honestly. When was the last time you surprised yourself by doing exactly what you said you would? Not when it was convenient, not when someone was watching. When was the last time you kept a promise only you knew about? If you're quiet right now, that tells me enough. Because weak men don't break promises to others first. They break them in private. That's always how it begins. Let me ask you this. Do you trust yourself? Not your intentions, not your explanations, your follow-through. Because if you don't trust yourself, why would anyone else? And if no one does, what kind of man does that leave you with? I'm not asking to shame you. I'm asking because I've lived long enough to know where this path ends. I've watched men who had all the right words still live small, contracted lives. Knowledge didn't save them. Awareness didn't save them. Only standards did. So let me ask again, what do you tolerate that you privately resent? A habit, a routine, a relationship, a version of yourself that keeps arriving late and underprepared. Because whatever you tolerate today, you justify tomorrow. And whatever you justify long enough becomes your identity. That's how weakness settles in. Not like an enemy, but like a roommate who never leaves. I refuse to be that weak man again. Now tell me, how often do you choose comfort and call it balance? How often do you avoid difficult conversations and call it maturity? How often do you lower your standards and call it being realistic? Old men see through those words. They've used them too. I used them. And here's the truth that cuts deepest. You already know what you should be doing. You don't need clarity. You need courage. So why don't you move? Is it fear of failing or fear of discovering that you didn't actually fail? You just never tried hard enough. That question follows men through sleepless nights. Because failure has excuses. Regret does not. Let me ask one more thing. When you imagine your future, do you feel anticipation or anxiety? Because anticipation comes from alignment. Anxiety comes from avoidance. Your body already knows when you're lying to yourself. That tightness in your chest. That restless sleep. That constant need for distraction. Those aren't random. They're signals. Signals that the man you are has drifted too far from the man you respect. And that distance hurts. Not immediately, but eventually. So ask yourself this. If your younger self met you today, would he feel proud or would he feel let down? Would he say, he became who I believed he could be? Or would he say, he settled? That question doesn't negotiate with your age or your circumstances. It only deals in truth. Weak men run from that question. Strong men sit with it. I refuse to be that weak man again. So let me ask the hardest one. What are you pretending not to see? The pattern you keep repeating. The habit you keep excusing. The line you keep stepping back from. You don't need 10 changes. You need one decision you stop revisiting. One area where maybe becomes no. One area where later becomes now. That's how identity shifts. Not through reinvention, through refusal. Refusal to stay comfortable. Refusal to stay silent. Refusal to keep becoming someone you don't respect. Old men don't chase greatness. They eliminate weakness, because greatness grows naturally once weakness stops being fed. So I'll ask you one final thing, and this one matters. If nothing changes in your life over the next 5 years, same habits, same routines, same excuses, would you be at peace with that? If the answer frightens you, good. Fear is useful when it points you forward, but don't confuse fear with action. Action is quieter. Action looks like doing the thing you've been avoiding without announcing it. It looks like discipline without applause. It looks like standards without negotiation. That's how weak men disappear. Not all at once, but completely. And one day, when you look back, you won't need to persuade yourself that you changed. You'll know because your life will speak for you. That's when this sentence stops being something you say and becomes something you live. I refuse to be that weak man again. And if you're still here, still listening, still being honest with yourself, then you're not finished yet. Weak men shut this off. Strong men lean in. The difference isn't strength. It's willingness. Hear this carefully, because this part is for you and for me. That weak man I've been describing, he still lives inside me. Even now he hides behind excuses. He whispers not today, he wants ease. He wants to go unnoticed. And that's the truth most people cannot accept. Even when you claim strength, that weaker version doesn't disappear automatically. It lingers. It waits. It watches in silence. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand something. These words aren't just stories. They're confessions. They're warnings. Yes, I have been that weak man. Yes, I have tolerated more than I should have. Yes, I made excuses and let time move while I told myself I was still figuring it out. If you're honest, you recognize this in yourself too. The habits you overlook, the standards you compromise, the small, quiet betrayals of yourself that accumulate without a sound. And here's what no one tells you. You won't feel the weight of it all at once. It arrives slowly, like a shadow that follows you home without your permission. The moment you realize how long you've allowed weakness to stay, that's when it truly hurts. That's when you face yourself and think, that part, that was me. And the worst part, you recognize it. You feel it. But unless you act, nothing changes. That's the hard truth. That's the honest reckoning no one wants to offer you, including yourself. But here's the other side of that truth. You don't have to stay that man. You don't have to keep feeding him. You can choose differently. You can refuse. You can resist the version of yourself that keeps settling for less. That weak man is real. I am real. And if you're listening, so are you. So as we close this, carry one thing with you. Every action you take today, every standard you hold to, every refusal to accept mediocrity from yourself, that is evidence you are leaving that weak man behind. And if this reached something in you, if it shook something loose, if you recognized him living inside you, then you're not alone. Because I'm here too, still learning, still fighting, still refusing. And we can walk this path together. If you want to keep moving in this direction, subscribe and stay with us. Be part of this. The commitment to overcome, to grow, to know yourself, and to refuse weakness every single day.